My name is John Perez. Me and my family have been worshiping here at Grace for about 17 years. Over the years, I've learned to cultivate a desire to know God more through prayer, through reading, through teaching, through listening to the Holy Spirit, which is my quiet time. You got to admit that you got to commit your ways to God, not just to be blessed, but because it's what He requires of us. Obviously, there are mountaintops and valleys in our walk. No Christian life is without them, and I'm no exception. Over the past several years, although I sought after God, I've had my struggles, my weaknesses, temptations, hidden sins that I've tried to overcome without success. But that's all common to all people. I got to look back at my life, especially turning 50, and what God has delivered me from. I think about my past life and how God has saved me from almost an entire life in prison over 20 years ago. That's hard to say to people. But I think about what Jesus said about whose sins are many and how they've been forgiven much. An unimaginable price was paid for our salvation, was paid for my salvation. And we should not take that lightly. I know the Christian life is full of joy, hope, but it's also full of struggles and sorrows. I got a wonderful marriage, an amazing wife, 4 beautiful children, and a good home. The trials that we've had, we have gotten through, and it's brought us closer to God. I remember James says, when and not if trials come. We're not immune to trials. We're going to go through them. There's no exceptions. But you would think that when you're the closest to God, that's when the trials would be the farthest from you. But I've learned that's when the bigger trials come. In October of last year, I lost my job, a job that I've held over 17 years. I developed a pain pill addiction that nearly ruined my life and cost me my job. It was from an injury at work. I gotta admit that it devastated me and challenged my faith at the highest level. A challenge that I gotta say I lost. My faith was so shaken and I became angry with God. But looking back at my family during those first few months, my wife and my 2 kids who are still in the house and how they handled it, it helped me realize how blessed that I still am. And that the trials of this world, they don't even compare to the glory that we're about to receive. My wife, who was unshaken in her faith, nothing changed with her. She woke up at 5 every morning, just as she had always done. She prayed and read, and she was clinging to her God every step of the way. My kids, their attitudes, their reaction, their behaviors, it's as if though God had prepared them for this moment. My anger, my frustrations, my thoughts of God not being there for me, that I was all alone and what was going to happen, all that went away, and it was replaced with a knowledge and a comfort that that closeness that I shared with God was even closer. That fear of insecurity just all went away. I haven't found a job yet, and things are still pretty tight and they're hard right now. But I know that who's in control, and I know that God still sits in His throne. No matter what happens, He is there with us every step of the way. We are still in the storm. I guess you could say that we're in the eye of the storm. But we know who's in the boat with us, and that He is going to calm the storm. Today, as Christians across the world celebrate the empty tomb, our trials don't even compare to the salvation that Christ made possible for us.